Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our D&D 5e Epic 6 campaign, the Curian Empire.
D&D 5e E6.
Inspired by the Height of Rome, but with some D&D high fantasy flair. When last we left off, you guys had barely survived a fight in a recently abandoned village, and then traveled on to the city of Manitum, where you had sort of accomplished your objective of seeing this caravan safely there. And then you guys are still escorting those goods.
Just different owners.
Just under different owners, as you have joined up with Lilith Pasdar's caravan, headed across the border into Raha, into the empire that's Tabaxi, in order to become spies, eventually. Hoping to...
Just doing my civic duty, sir.
Hoping to sort of step out on the path of maybe punishing the Empire a little bit. That's a quote we have been using so often recently.
Just works a lot.
You guys will have a day or two in Manitum before the caravan leaves. So you guys are kind of free to do what you want in the meantime.
Well, right off the bat, is there anything we need? Anybody?
I feel like I'm reasonably kitted out.
Were you guys paid at the end of the last session?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like I have enough money that it probably should have been from that.
Exactly. I assume so.
Any kind of healing kit.
Yeah, so I was gonna say things to prevent us from straight dying.
Yeah, because I can't.
Who should hold that? You have healing spells, so maybe not you. Probably one of us.
Yeah. What's your medicine?
It is +1.
Same.
I don't know if you need it for using that, because you can just use that to stabilize people.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Because I'm thinking of a feat.
You can just make a healing roll to try and, or like medicine check to try and stabilize a creature.
I
If
feel
you
like
have
I'm more
a
likely to
healing
be up
kit, you
front
can
getting
just use it.
smacked, but I'm also more likely to not get hit when I get smacked, so I don't know which one of us would be better to carry it around.
I would say-
At this level, I am a glass cannon. Next level, that will probably change. But so, my AC is very low. I don't have much to do with my AC, so
I'll carry the healing kit.
I'll trade
Okay.
to the next level.
Or you just get another one.
Or I might learn how to heal. Who knows?
Who knows? Do I learn how to heal?
I assume I can
I'm
get
thinking
that
of
at
healer
the
feat.
normal cost.
Yep.
I was thinking of the
Healer's
healer
kit.
feat, thinking of that medicine roll for.
Oh, it's only
Oh,
5
wow.
gold pieces.
That's not bad. How many do you think?
Well, they each have 10 uses, don't they?
Yes.
Let's just
my
each have
God,
one.
really?
I will buy a healer's kit for myself. Outrageous.
Well,
You can do so.
You said 5 gold.
Once again, a reminder to everyone out there playing D&D, buy a healer's kit.
All the time.
They're cheap, and they will save people's lives.
Is that on your list of mundane items that you sort of like best mundane items?
It should be if it's not.
What's the rarity on those? On the mundane? They're just common?
Yeah, like mundane being non-magical.
Yeah.
So the stuff on the equipment list: bags of ball bearings, soap.
Also, bags of ball bearings are pretty high on that list because of the versatility of ball bearings.
Ball bearings,
Even like
caltrops,
candles, caltrops, exactly all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Chalk.
some good stuff. Just need to do campaign with it. Only thing you get
Chalk,
is-
absolutely much more useful than most people realize. I fully intend to carry a bag of chalk as Campbell for marking routes.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense of where you're going.
That'd be really smart. I don't know what's
None of us have
Yeah.
because we're idiots. But other people probably have because they aren't.
Yeah, you can totally get those at cost.
Okay.
Most things you're going to be able to just get at cost.
I would assume you'll let us know otherwise.
Yes. If you want something particularly esoteric, it might be harder to get. But
Right then, yeah. I think that we are good to go from there.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else I need.
I don't have anything I need to do. Just get away with that.
Just spend a day or two just resting in the city. I just nobody should be missing hit points right now.
Not at this point.
No.
Back up to full now. Definitely was missing them earlier though.
When we did.
Mm-hmm.
And then the dwarf had to clutch it out.
Yeah.
A 1v2 and a 1v1.
Clutch or kick. Literally all of us get kicked from the campaign because we're all there. But that's besides the point. So our next step is kind of just meeting up with Lilith and whenever she's ready to
it's still just the 5 wagons. They're new wagons. Everything has been, since they were hired wagons, everything has been moved into new wagons.
In like unfamiliar,
yes.
Or new and nice and new.
You don't recognize these wagons.
I don't trust that.
They also like, it definitely seems to be kind of a proper merchant's caravan. Like these, it doesn't just seem like 5 hired wagons. They seem to all be sort of kit and parcel together.
And what are we told we're moving?
Hookahs. The wagon has been searched twice by Curian soldiers.
I've only found hookahs. So
Just need to know who to try and steal hookahs from us later.
Bandits.
A bunch of druggy cult out there.
They've got the drugs, but they don't have anything to use the drugs with.
I've got all this sheesh and no hookah.
oh, look over there! That's a hookah
Look, a caravan of hookahs.
How can you tell? I have an eye
Thank
for
you,
hookah.
whichever gods I believe in. Okay.
That's it. That is a D&D party. That's not the parties on the wagon being attacked by those people. If that situation's happening, it's the party attacking the caravan of hookahs. Let's be clear.
Everyone channeling their inner drug addict.
Drugs.
Exactly.
So you guys are going to be heading for the city of Behnaz, which is not on your maps. It is. Yeah.
No,
let me see
I
where
was
that
about to look at them.
it is not on your maps. It is, since that is a map largely of the
north
Curian Empire, it is farther east off of the map.
Gotcha.
And a little north, but primarily east. It's the capital city of the Tabaxi. And it's going to be with like at a caravan's pace, it's going to be a couple weeks. If you were on foot or on horseback, you could probably and like moving fast, you could make the trip much faster. But the wagons are much slower. And they are like, Lilith seems confident to just stick to the roads. She doesn't seem to be making any attempt to like hide the caravan's progress eastward. Although she is kind of like constantly checking maps, and she quite often has somebody riding out ahead on horseback. At least like a few miles or a few hours kind of at a time, just to keep track of the road ahead.
Okay.
Heading even farther away from the coast than you guys already are, it's absolutely just hopping from kind of oasis to well to like little village, just like you're never at the point where you're like truly out of water or supplies. All of these routes seem very familiar and well marked. And like it is much like your homeland, just predominantly deep rocky desert. There are some rivers, and there are a decent number of sort of springs and wells, but it's not quite often for a day or two at a time. You guys are just like traveling through pretty arid rocky desert. For a while, for the first couple of days in particular, you do see Curian patrols. Off and on, again, sort of like cavalry. but you're never stopped. And by the time that you're fairly certain you are now across the border and well into Tabaxi lands, you haven't seen Curian patrols in days.
And this is kind of crossing a line of conflict. Right?
Most of the fighting is a little farther north, but this is all the front, essentially.
We don't have much on us that we don't have any of the old military stuff.
No,
we got rid
ditched
of
all
it.
that.
Okay. Nothing on the carts or anything, right?
They're all military carts.
These are military grade hookahs.
You stole these from the Curian.
They'd be happy.
Come on, let's have a party in your honor.
I want to fight for whatever army is issuing hookahs to its.
Military grade.
Oh yeah, they
Does
probably.
that mean they're bloods or they're sharp?
It means it's like medical grade hookahs. It's the same. It just costs 10 times as much.
I was gonna say it is just as basic and stripped down and like.
But costs 10
possible.
times as much.
And like there's definitely like a few days kind of in the middle where you guys don't really see any other travelers at all. You haven't seen any patrols for a few days. You're still kind of passing from through little villages, kind of from oasis to oasis, and then you start regularly seeing like Tabaxi like cavalry patrolling essentially from the opposite direction.
Cat people on
Are
horses.
they on camels or horses?
Well, that's
Some of
sight
both.
to see.
You definitely see. It seems like most of the like organized military forces are on horseback,
Technically, I'm dog.
especially if they're sticking to
Horses.
roads. It's not unusual to see Tabaxi riding camels, and you're definitely going to see more and more camels the farther east you travel. They definitely become more common.
Do they become faster?
They're mostly still just the same speed.
Eventually, we'll get faster.
Well, we'll just go down to north. Not Africa, the other thing that it is now, and get an elephant to ride into war on. That's how you do it.
Nah, you get
Hannibal
Get a
style.
fucking hippo.
Look, if you guys want to Hannibal the shit out of the campaign, I won't stop. They will try and stop you. I won't stop you.
I mean, I want a chariot. Maybe an elephant-drawn chariot? Hmm?
That would be a
You
big
wouldn't even be
chariot.
able to see. Now you better hope they don't shit while you're riding.
Oh, God! Just these boulders of shit rolling back at you. I've changed my mind. I no longer want an elephant chariot.
All right. Puts elephant chariot back in bag. The like so the thing is like it's like I know what I want to say. Where do I begin?
How do I begin?
After about 2 weeks, you guys will begin seeing a low mountain range out ahead, and you're passing kind of bigger and bigger villages and bigger towns fairly constantly, and seeing more and more people. This is still very much a desert, but it's a much livelier section of it. There are a lot more springs and kind of rivers in the local area. And the low mountain range that you guys are headed towards is a very steep and rocky mountain range. They're very jagged peaks, but they're not necessarily all that tall. One of these days, as you sort of get into the shadow of these mountains, and as you come around sort of an arm into kind of a long valley that heads up into these low peaks, nestled in sort of the top edge of this valley, quite literally flanked by cliffs on both sides, is an extremely large city of domes and spires, and it's clear there's even from here. It is clear there is a massive palace at sort of the far end of it, and there is even from here it is possible to see just a steady stream of traffic headed in and out of the city.
Home's deep. We found her.
We make way for him.
It is much larger than but it has sort of the same.
Nestled in the cliffs.
Yes.
Very defensible position.
Yes.
Oh.
It'll be very easy
Easily flooded?
I know it's desert. Mountain.
Oh, you mean like literal, like, if it rained too much, it would flood there, probably?
Yeah.
It seems to be kind of built up into the pass of the mountain. It's
Okay.
It's got some
it's
elevation.
kind of at the high points of this valley.
Oh god, we're gonna have a moment where we're gonna need what's your character's name?
Tertius?
Tertius. Am I gonna need him to throw me? Toss me! Get up, back to jump! You have to toss me! Don't tell the dog man.
Not a word of this to the Kinra.
Not a word of this to the kid.
I hope so. The answer is I hope that happens.
It does, like, and you in particular with, like, you know, the sort of nobleman's military training that you had growing up,
The theoretical military.
and the you know, the week or two spent with Avantius, it does immediately, to you in particular, immediately strike your eye as an incredibly defensible city. It seems like it would be impossible to encircle the city because you would have to be like if there are any other exits from the city, any forces trying to encircle the city would be days, if not weeks, of travel apart. It does seem like an incredibly defensible location. It's surrounded by high walls, a lot of towers.
Shoot the one with the torch.
I secretly hope we get to help defend this place in an epic siege. But that's not for now. That's not for now.
If only they'd attack this, then we could defend it.
For the time being, we are merchant bodyguards
We're not
on a caravan. And I assume this is our landing zone. This is where we're bringing our goods to, so
This would seem
Onward
to
and
be
forward.
the city of Behnaz.
seems really cool. I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah.
Once again, this is a site I have not seen.
Yes.
I'm all about new experiences and new
And it is
new sites and
once again like
it's distinct. It's
yes,
its own.
it's its own architectural style. It's like you've been in a lot of city with towers and domes. This, at least from a distance, is like you have not been in a city sort of this bedecked with them. And sort of crossing beneath this massive gatehouse, which is almost a fortress by itself. The caravan is just let immediately through.
Did they riding along with it? Does it seem like they recognize Lilith and so they don't harry her at all, or
Not
is it like
necessarily.
they just let this go through?
It seems like, at least at the moment, the city is pretty open.
Okay.
Nobody seems to acknowledge Lilith in any way.
They're very.
They know they're doing it, right?
It is a long, wide, straight road right up through the heart of the city towards the palace that you can still see at the far end. Apart from that, it seems to be just
I have a feeling it's very hard to attack this city, but it must be a lot harder to attack that palace. So they don't give a shit up to that.
it seems to be just like the whole city seems to be just a tangle of tall buildings, narrow streets, alleyways, crossroads, squares.
Definitely a place you would not want to. The ranged weapons like those and crossbows would probably be.
Well, I mean, if you're at the top of those tall buildings, there's people nestled in tight streets underneath you. Though that's where I prefer the old tar bucket myself.
That's why I always carry one with me.
Tar bucket. You can
pull that out.
You can put so much tar in this bag.
That thing would be heavy as shit. There's like
Well, and it'd be just
It'd be
It'd be
wouldn't
like
liquid,
solid
it'd be
rubber.
solid,
yeah,
solid
yeah,
rubber.
that's fine.
it would that would be
Don't worry.
Such-
Somebody get a fire going. I smell a siege. It pulls up 2 buckets of rubber.
Have you guys been carrying those?
Yes, where'd you pull those from?
My tar hole.
Yeah.
You stick that in your tar hole.
I'll ride up next to wherever Lilith is and ask, where is it exactly that we'll be dropping this cargo off at?
The drivers will take the wagons to a warehouse. Ultimately, what happens to the goods don't really matter that much to me. We'll be headed a little farther into the city.
Very well.
I can just hear it whispering.
Be the palace.
I'm not going to ask. Is she, like, on a wagon?
Yes.
And so, like, her wagon and our horses are going to, like, continue on and the other wagons are breaking off?
No, she She eventually just hops down from the wagon, kind of waves and it seems like the drivers just like know like everybody seems to know the arrangement where everything's headed. So they like the wagons and like sort of the rest of the guards and the riders and stuff kind of head off in one direction, and Lilith just kind of takes her bag and just motions for all three of you to follow and starts walking up, still sticking to that main road through the city.
Is there a place to tie up our horses?
You could take them with you, or you could probably send them with the wagons if you wanted.
Yeah, I guess I'll ride them.
I think I'll send mine with the wagons if they're going to a safe warehouse, just so I don't have to worry about
Lilith
leaving
can
it
make
somewhere.
Lilith can make sure you get it back.
I
Yeah, I
don't
guess
want to
I'll-
leave it somewhere on the side of the road for some street ruffian to ride away with my
You
horse.
and
I
that
haven't
is
named,
something
don't care
like
about.
everybody give me perception checks since you brought it up.
13.
12.
9.
9. For you two in particular, you're pretty almost blind to this because it's a lot like some of, especially that sort of coastal city that you guys started in. The two of you guys in particular would notice, like not every rooftop, but quite a few rooftops, quite a few alleys have just like street urchins watching from the shadows or perched on the edge of rooftops, just watching.
Spend a lot of
people pass
time in
by.
big coastal cities. I do exactly what I do every time, which is put one hand on the hilt, the other hand on the coin purse as I'm walking.
Wear your backpack on the front. Stick mouse traps in your back pockets.
Didn't you essentially design something
I did,
like that?
yeah. Mhm.
And catch just a hand?
I just
in
got
it?
a hand, yeah, because it was a weird. It was this weird group of people who had all cut off their hands and animated them to go out into the city and steal.
All right.
That had the downside of making them really poor combatants.
When you're actually fighting them.
And I was playing essentially a Viking.
He wasn't able to cut their hands off, but he was able to cut other appendages.
It was it was a fairly easy thieves' den to clear out. Turns out I also triggered alarm. They had cast alarm on like a doorway, and I triggered it. But it's like, there's nobody here, so I cast alarm on the doorway, and then left, and then one of them came out to check alarm and triggered my alarm. It was very funny back and forth. Anyway,
All right, I guess I'll send my horse
Okay.
with the wagons, and I pull out my staff, and I use it as a walking stick, so I can quickly just bonk people.
Wouldn't take the young jacked dwarf's beating stick.
You want to take a walking stick away from a poor
That's
disabled dwarf.
that scene does not work if Gimli's the one holding the staff.
You wouldn't bark a young Herculean elven man from his beating rod, would you?
I'm really the main road.
Looks at note that says like to do today, take all weapons. It's like, yes, we would.
Yes, we would. Absolutely.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. It is absolutely a crowded city. Even this wide main thoroughfare is fairly crowded. Anytime you guys pass through a sort of large square or crossroads, there are merchant stalls everywhere. There's like tons of people just out shopping. There's grumpy old men tabaxi sitting on balconies judging the youth. It's very much like there are quite a few soldiers here, and like you're used to the sort of standard amount of like the Curian soldiers equipment, where it tends to be leather armor. Some of the heavier soldiers will wear steel. It seems like the vast majority of soldiers you see here are either have the look of heavy cavalry, just not currently mounted, or pretty heavily armored and armed foot troops. There are definitely some like lighter units, but at least a lot of the units here in the city seem to be pretty top tier.
These aren't the classic desert infantry. These are like cataphracts.
Yes.
These
at least
cloth
at
and
least here in the
webbing.
city, they seem to be like the Mamluks from the original Mountain Blade warband. They're I think Persian immortals, I suppose, is another way to look at it as well. And Lilith is going to lead you. It takes quite a bit of time, especially on foot, but she is going to lead you the rest of the way through the city to the gates of the second wall, which are before the palace.
All right.
I knew
Who
this
could have
was
seen this one coming?
It wasn't the most descriptive building. No.
No.
And it seems to be... This palace seems almost like the size of a city in itself, to some
I
degree.
knew we were going here. I would have put on my finest traveling clothes.
Jallal won't care.
Excuse me.
Do you eat more of the street meat?
No, it's my brew.
Just wafting that shit around.
You know, heartburn is it's no simple. You shouldn't leave that alone. Esophagus damage can catch up to you.
You don't,
You can pop the cork on that
you
bottle
don't know
and
what an
attract people
esophagus
like
is.
crazy.
This is ancient road.
Oh, yeah.
It's like
At this gate, you are stopped. But Lilith seems to present something, whether it's it's hard to get a look at it, whether it's like sort of an amulet or a sigil or something, and get like sort of all four of you through.
Are they trying to take our weapons or anything?
It seems like once Lilith presents whatever she presents, they just stand aside. and let everybody.
she's hiding something.
Police
Well, I
issue
mean,
badge.
It something like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell what it is.
So you're obviously know me a merchant.
I thought that was clear already.
Yeah,
You are no merchant.
I see you are no merchant. Clearly, you're Tabaxi. You're not a mer person at all.
I don't know if there's mer people. There's no mer people.
I hadn't thought about it.
Tritons.
Yeah, that Triton man sold me out. I'm still bitter. Anyway.
No more sidetrack. Nonsense.
She doesn't necessarily seem to be heading for just the main gate into the palace. This palace seems to be roughly the size of a city in its own right. A small city, but a city nonetheless. You are, by this point, pretty well nestled between sort of the peaks of the mountains. The Lilith sort of heads off across this larger courtyard and through a large but smaller than the sort of main castle entryway, or palace entryway, into through another set of doors, kind of through a hallway into a courtyard, which is like it seems like immediately it's like, if somebody wasn't guiding me through this, there's no way you would be able
I'm
to
already lost.
find your way through this at all. Where you eventually end up is somewhere on a second or third floor, and it seems to be kind of a sitting room.
Really quick, you said we're pretty deep between two peak points of the mountain. Are we getting much sunlight into the actual part of the city, or is it just kind of residual from bouncing off the mountainside?
A bit of both. You think at certain parts of day the city is probably fairly shadowed, and it's made worse when you're somewhere within the palace or somewhere deep within the alleyways of this city.
Okay.
A lot of this city at any given time is in shade just from the walls, the spires, the really tall, tightly packed buildings, which has the benefit of helping keep it somewhat cool. It's open enough for sort of like breezes to pass through, but it's obviously meant to kind of keep everything somewhat shaded. So yeah, your shadow's not really
I was wondering about
super visible, at least most of the time. And
light.
there you go.
that. Yay.
Lilith will sort of lead you guys in the, kind of with a warning of like, don't go wandering off. You'll just get lost. and just kind of leaves you guys in the sitting room and heads back out the door.
Okay.
Would I be able to use like stone cunning to get like a history on how old this building
This
is?
place seems old. It doesn't seem as old as some of the cities farther south that you guys are already in, like especially down in Kennerlands.
Yeah.
It seems newer than that. But it seems like this has probably been here for some time.
Cool. I really like the idea that we're walking through and you're just like, ooh, am I feeling the stone? Looking at igneous.
Oh, I detect a little bit of gold.
You guys will be left.
Granite. Mercury sandstone.
Eventually, a Tabaxi will show up and deliver like sort of wine and sort of like I guess light snacks.
Slide the wine away from him, fill a carafe, slide it back within reach, and then quickly pull my hand away as I assume he grabs it.
Hospitality at its finest.
And you guys will be waiting here for you guys will be waiting here for like close to half an hour.
Okay.
So no shenanigans anybody wants to get up to?
I mean, I'm going to wander around the sitting room and just look at the decoration and stuff. I'm just going to take
A lot of curtains, a lot of cushions, marble, silks, everything in here. You are clearly in the palace, and everything in here is,
Fine.
yes, quite fine.
Very nice.
marble.
Sweet.
It was probably not cheap to get marble this deep into the desert.
And a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it. It's just marble floors as far as the eye can see.
This isn't like wealth. This is like fuck you wealth that they're displaying here.
This is suck my dick well.
Mm-hmm.
And after about half an hour, the door will open again. As the door opens, you'll get a glimpse of two guards who are very clearly posted outside the door of this room that you do not remember being there when you arrived.
And look, we got protectors. That's neat.
And
I don't think they're here to protect us.
Lilith and another Tabaxi who's dressed in not quite to the point of finery, but much finer clothes, much sort of cleaner and well taken care of clothes compared to Lilith's sort of dusty traveling robes. He seems much older than Lilith. It's hard to tell. He certainly doesn't seem elderly.
He's not like doddering.
No. He still seems quite fit and able, but there is definitely more sort of gray in his fur. And while Lilith is sort of that just like pure white, he's much more sort of lightly patterned brown. For being his uncle, they don't look shit like each other. Or for being Lilith's uncle, they don't look shit like each other. I guess uncles rarely look like nieces and nephews, but you know. You get the impression they don't look shit like each other.
They come in, just the doors.
I'll set my drink down. I'm very much in like, I'm in esteemed noble company and like trying to carry myself more nobly now.
Oh.
Yeah, he bows back. Hello.
Lilith says, you may be in need of agents? Assistants. At the very least.
Yeah, out of character moment. I completely forgot. That's why we were here.
In character moment. You've been sipping the brew in the desert for weeks. Where am I?
What are we doing?
I just go around taking.
Cat people.
Catch people on horses.
Jallal will kind of motion for everybody. They'd like to sort of sit down on the low couches. He says that Lilith told him some about you all. I'm Jallal Pazdar, the head of a branch that is attached to the tree of the Empire. We handle specialist work, I suppose. What a lot of people will so basely call spies or assassins or saboteurs.
That's pretty cool.
My organization goes primarily by the name of the Golden Claws, though very few even within Raha know that we exist. Our job at the moment is to some degrees winning a war, but it's primarily just keeping this empire as safe as possible.
Well, can't speak for everybody here. I'm in the market for friends, and in the market to help people who could help me. And so I would certainly offer what abilities I have to see what we can do for you. At least what I can do for you. I would not call myself an assassin, nor a spy, nor a saboteur. I can handle myself, but depending on the work you need done, I'd certainly do my best to complete those tasks.
Well, to start with, I certainly wouldn't send you out on any assassination missions.
Hey, any friend of death is a friend of mine. It sounds like that's what assassins do.
Yeah, I guess in a sense, same here.
I hardly want to be the one to just ruthlessly take lives. But, especially on the scale of imperial politics, it is sometimes an easy solution. And as far as we can tell from what little news we're able to get from the heart of the Curian Empire, it seems like there are plenty of people within their ranks who have come to the same conclusion, though it seems to be focused more inwards than outwards.
That's just bad leadership.
Bad leaders are relatively common. Some of you, I think, would know that better than others. Allow me to express my condolences for what happened to your family. From what I understand, they were rather well liked.
Things in Themis were very good when I was young. For everyone.
I've heard it's a beautiful city.
This is a beautiful city. A very different kind of beauty. But beautiful all the same.
I like it well enough. Though, as you'll learn quickly, I think it can be fairly treacherous on its own. It's confusing, at the very least.
I could see getting lost in here would be very easy in this city.
I'll have Lilith, at the very least, set you up with temporary quarters in the city. And I'm always looking for new agents, especially if you can prove yourselves. I will definitely have much more active work for you. At the moment, the request that I'd have, and of course I'm happy to compensate any agents in my employ, is a certain nephew of mine went missing last night or this morning. I rather suspect he's probably drunk somewhere. And you see, that Lilith seems to figure out who he's talking about. And she kind of has this mixed reaction of like, oh great, and like, you can't be asking them to go find him. Like, she seems to immediately be like kind of conflicted, but doesn't like voice it. Jallal seems to notice. My nephew, Kehan, enjoys drinking and carousing. And we're fairly certain the tavern he snuck off to last night. We're not entirely sure where he went afterwards.
If you can give us a point to start, we'll certainly do our best to track him down.
He kind of like gives you the description of a sign for a particular tavern that's on that main road. It should be easy enough to find.
There's a trail to find. I've got sharp eyes, and the dwarf is a bloodhound when it comes to finding tracks.
If you can.
What?
Nothing gets past him. Alright!
I wasn't drinking. I was no doubt. What?
If you can find him, and he's capable of walking, bring him back here, and we'll take him off your hands. If he's not capable of walking, wait for him to wake up, I suppose.
Can't just
And
drag him.
Could always just drag him back.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not he'll be using his actual name. May not get you much asking about him. You're looking for a light brown tabaxi with dark gray stripes.
Well, Bill, similar to you, bigger.
Small, thin, at the very least. Athletic, but hardly built like this one here. Points to Hercules.
Turns, huh? Titties flex. Titty dance.
Yeah. Oh, come on. We're in front of royalty. Or military genius. I don't remember.
Is this nephew somebody of import in the city? By birth, if nothing else?
You're a relatively sharp one. And that would be a fairly accurate statement. I wouldn't go bandying it about necessarily. But it would be, there are people with a vested interest in seeing him return safely.
Right. Oh, to the bar.
To the bar for more drinks. Investigation.
And to find the guy.
Just to find the guy. We can drink afterwards. Not that you seem any less sharp after all the drinking I've seen you do, so perhaps it doesn't faze you.
I don't think you've seen him sober yet. You don't know. All this work.
In fact, you might be useless sober. Keep it up.
For all you know, this is sober.
That's true. Are you actually drinking alcohol or is it water?
That's the thing. You'll never know.
It doesn't smell like water.
And neither does he or his breath.
They're like cast a breath in it too.
You might be able to.
You're not druid.
Prestidigitation
You're
might be
clear.
able to.
They have thaumaturgy. I don't think thaumaturgy has like an instantly change the smell or
Yeah.
flavor thing.
Yeah, you need
Nah,
prestidigitation, I think.
You prestidigitation.
I think you can light and snuff candles though. So
Yeah.
it's burn near a flame.
Party tricks.
Hey,
Hey, you guys want to see some cool?
so everybody hates wizards.
I guess we're heading to the bar.
Okay.
Can we get shown out? Because I don't want to
Yes,
get lost.
Lilith will take you back out the way you came, once you guys are sort of past the sort of inner wall, the palace wall, she'll kind of take you all aside for a second and say like, I didn't expect Jallal would. I mean, I sort of expected Kehan would do something like this. I didn't necessarily expect Jallal would send you all on this.
Something about him we need to know.
Not necessarily, just that do your job right. The Kehan is not. He's certainly not worth roughing up. Because what happened to all of you is much worse. And if he has been roughed up, it would probably be best if you all handled it yourselves. The better the state that Kehan returns in, and the fewer people with any animosity, should there be any left standing at the end of it, would probably be a good idea.
Loud and clear.
Understood.
The best way.
I just love killing.
Oh boy, here I go killing again.
Blood for the blood guard. Oh boy. Woo.
Pepin
If it comes to it.
Start skipping to it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys are headed. It's not hard to find the tavern that you're looking for. It seems nice. It's definitely a tavern. It's not like a sort of a fancy cocktail bar. But it seems the windows are clean, and the signs freshly painted. The building itself seems to be in very good repair. And it's sort of jammed under and alongside a bunch of other buildings.
Entering in, it's the middle of the day right now,
Mhm.
right?
There's still some people in there.
It's not like hustling and bustling. To the bartender.
Okay. There's a tabaxi leaning on the bar, wiping down the bar top like every bartender idol animation.
While they're getting ready to start speaking with them, I'm gonna start I'm trying to eye certain things or people in the room, just see whoever's like watching us or looking.
I mean, people definitely take note of you. You're kind of
assuming
you're an
it's
odd trio.
racist.
Is it because they're all tabaxi?
It's yes. At the moment, it is all tabaxi. You do see quite a few humans and Kenra in particular in the city, and some Leonin,
Oh, man.
and as well as some elves. There's not a small number of elves in the city.
Am I the anomaly here because I'm a dwarf?
Almost certain.
You are very far from your homeland.
There are probably no other dwarves. I walk up to the barkeep and say, "Hey, I'd like a drink, please."
In what language?
Common.
Common? He obviously heard you, but he doesn't seem to necessarily react.
I'll be
to
like
it.
Elven. I'll say Elven in Elven.
He'll not.
No, then I'll go and say, "A drink, please, and a moment of your time, if you wouldn't mind."
He'll ask what you're drinking.
I'll just get some wine.
Some wine.
Is this like this?
Maybe a small carafe to
is this like
top
the-
off my friends.
Is this like the Gimli thing where the bar's up here, I'm like right here? It's like I can't see it there.
Do you want me to describe it to you, or would you like me to find you a box? He'll
Meanwhile, him and I 6 foot along.
he'll
6 foot more with the ears.
2 silver pieces will get you a pitcher of regular wine.
I'll get a pitcher of
3
wine.
glasses.
I'll ask him in Tabaxi.
You speak Tabaxi.
Yep.
Very nice.
What does he recommend?
I got a pitcher. I'm not drinking this all myself.
Well, you don't have to. That's what I'm here for.
I top off. I take.
That was good. We'll all
I
finish
ask him
this.
for a pitcher and 1 glass, and 1 goblet, and I fill mine, and then I slide the pitcher to the door and keep drinking.
Well, you slide to the door, but I'm like,
I hand it down to the door.
because I'm assuming that's the joke is I'm too short for the bar.
They have a very wide selection of wine. They also have.
We don't get the fancy stuff, but you've got most of a pitcher.
They also have ale and beer. Of kind of a couple different varieties. They have essentially a lighter beer and a darker beer, but they have a kind of wider, wider kind of wine selection.
Yeah, I'll just purchase one of the wines. Maybe like mid-tier one, not super fancy, but not like the dirt cheap one.
Okay, they'll do 5 silver pieces for a fancy one.
Thank
Damn! I tack extra points into my own boss fight for making your math easier.
You give us extra hit points whenever we're going into a big fight.
Man,
I'll tell you
that came back around to be such a bitch fighting Gladstone. That fight was absolutely so much harder than it needed to be. because he
It's
had 2
almost
extra
like all
wounds.
of our choices have led to consequences.
It's almost like Jerry really screwed us by trying to make his match.
I only did it one time. Matty G was the one who did it the other time.
Oh my god, he does that. If you watch this, you are the one that does that the most.
Which is why Erickson has found a good way to cut down on it.
I made the rule during that campaign that if anyone intentionally oh, and here's 23 cents extra as a tip. I was like, anytime you just do some bullshit to make your map good, I add an extra hit point, an extra wound, which everybody has at most 4, an extra one to the final boss.
What I
And
should have
they didn't learn that lesson in one attempt.
Now, what I should have done.
Stacked list of the whole book. He's like, yeah, this kid's pretty strong.
Yeah, I was.
What I should have done for that is just to really fuck with them. Give them some obscure number as a tip. It's like, oh, here's $35, and then I'm left with 99 cents afterwards.
Oh, yes.
That's a weird number, but it made your math worse, not better, so I can't punish you, I guess. I will say to the bartender, taking a sip of this wine, how is the wine?
It's good.
Is it more like my wine or more like their wine down south, the Tabaxi, or the Kinra wine?
Probably more like the Kenra. It is honestly kind of a middle ground between the two.
What does the dwarf think about it? Since I am a brewer.
You've been drinking a lot more wine. Your homeland doesn't have a ton of wine. It has some. So you've been drinking kind of a lot of wine through your travels, and it's pretty good. It's definitely for their just base not on tap but
By the pitcher.
yes, yeah. For their just base they're just base wine. It's pretty good. You've definitely had better. You've definitely had worse.
We're looking for a friend of ours was drinking here last night that didn't show back up where we were going to meet him. Tabaxi with
Maybe
light brown fur and dark gray stripes.
I know the kid you're talking about.
He didn't stir up any trouble here, did he?
Oh, it was him and it looked like he was probably going to be causing trouble somewhere. He was already pretty drunk when he left here. I think he was. There's another place, couple streets. I think 2 streets down, right turn. Off of that road, there's a tavern with it's called the Fisherman's Wife. It's an easy to recognize sign. It's a fish in a dress.
I see the humor.
I think he was headed that direction. Wouldn't be surprised if you found him passed out somewhere between here and there. He was, like I said, pretty drunk even when he left here. Just throwing coin around pretty. Yeah. Mostly for himself, but never hesitated to pay for a drink.
Do you see anybody in this bar right now that's with him that night?
Not really. I mean, he left here alone. Don't really think anyone followed him out.
We appreciate the information. Yeah, I'm sorry if he stirred up any trouble here.
But like I said, if he's stirring up trouble, it wasn't here, but I wouldn't be surprised if you heard about some later on.
Cheers. I just down it. All right, let's go.
Down the little bit left in my glass.
Chug. Not a great time.
It's good wine too. You paid for good wine.
It's like sipping wine. You're just down the bottle, let's go.
We have a job to do. God damn it.
You
A
guys
friend to find.
look.
We gonna be doing this
The
at
way-
every bar?
The way to do this
Hopefully.
quest is not to try and match Kihan drink for drink. That would be very funny.
Let's
But we
all
need to think
start
the way
here,
we-
get trashed, and see where we end up. Right where he was.
We need to think the
You-
way
you
That's
wait-
such a D&D
You
party.
wake up on a rooftop and you're like, oh, there he is.
Plan worked perfectly. I'm missing a finger and one of my shoes, but perfect.
That
Then
is-
I'm going to find my best friend Keon, and then I'm going to give him my best friend Keon.
That was
Home.
that is absolutely something I could imagine Campbell, my character in that current D&D campaign, doing, or Tarquin, that bard that I really want to play. It's
I think that's a brilliant plan.
excellent.
Get drunk in the same place he got drunk and see where you end up.
I can see Grimes doing that.
Absolutely.
Knowing D&D parties, it would probably work more often than not.
Probably some weird cult kidnapping people that are drunk at that bar. Just kidnap you too.
It's not hard to find the fisherman's wife. It is sort of the next, like, going a couple streets down and kind of heading down that side street. The sign is fairly distinctive. It's again like a nice. It's not like a trashy bar or tavern by any means. It's not quite as nice as the one right sort of off that main track, but it's
well kept.
It's still fairly well kept. The bartender seems to be kind of sweeping the front steps, or somebody or a Tabaxi that looks like a bartender. He's wearing an apron. He's got the rag tucked into the front of the apron.
Hail! I say in Elvish, and then I say Elvish as a question in Elvish.
I speak Elvish, yes.
Name's Tertius Praxis. A friend of ours was out drinking last night, and we believe quite likely came through here, and haven't heard from him since. We're trying to track down what trouble he got himself into, and wouldn't be surprised if it was here where some of that trouble happened. He's thinner, young Tabaxi man, light brown fur, dark gray stripes.
I know where he went. Him and that whole bunch of ruffians he was hanging out with. But I'm not telling anybody until somebody pays me back for all the damage they caused. And he kind of throws open the door. So there seems to be several broken chairs, quite a few smashed mugs.
Oh, wish I would have taken
Looking at character detail sheet because I don't have spells. Can I use land vehicle proficiency to fix this guy's table? So I'll be like, I'm terribly sorry. Does not know how to hold his drink. Don't know about the friends he was
He
with.
was certainly already drunk when he got here. And
How much?
How much damage do you think this is?
10 gold, we'll call it square.
I
was gonna say I can cover it, and then
because money means a little bit less to me. So
I see 3 digits on your money
Yeah, I
and
have
2
two.
on both of ours. You pay us. Again, very sorry. Sorry, very sorry. Very sorry about
here.
that.
Why don't you have a drink for your trouble? I hand him my bag of ale.
He smells it. He smells it and just hands it back.
Good choice.
But he will take the money. The whole lot of them, 6 maybe. I don't know. He was already drunk when he got here. Met up with them. They all got. The rest of them got drunk. He got drunker. Last I heard, they were heading for a brothel some distance down, I think.
Foolish boys.
Should be able to smell the perfume off the place if you head wandering down that direction. That was at least the last I heard from them when I was struggling to get anybody to pay for all the furniture they smashed.
The group he was with, can you describe them to me? All Tabaxi or?
All Tabaxi, 5 of them, I think. He looked like the cleanest of the lot. None of them were ragged necessarily, but
Did it seem like he knew them, or did they just kind of join him while he was drinking?
Not sure.
How many?
5 of them, I think. 6 total with him. They seem to be getting along pretty famously.
Were any of them armed?
Not that I saw. Knives, probably. Everyone around here carries knives.
Good to be able to protect yourself. Thank you. Sorry again for the destruction that was done here. We'll clean up our friend and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Well, I appreciate someone's looking after him, and I appreciate the people paying for the damages.
Onward. Follow. It smells less foul. The air smells less foul this way. But we have to go this way.
It's like stench covered in perfume.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yep.
It's like somebody who's taken a massive dump and done like a single spray of linen-scented air freshener. And you're like, clean shit smell.
Someone shit in my clean laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
It's sad that everyone knows that spell. You think someone in this generation would have learned, but no.
Foolish of us.
Foolish.
So we follow our noses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It is not hard to find a kind of 3-story building, very sort of bedecked in curtains, from which even outside you can sort of faintly hear music, and the perfume stench is pretty overpowering.
Actual me, Matthew, is like having allergic reaction shit vicariously through my character sheet right now, just imagining this.
Wishing I didn't have good senses right now.
I walk past Bath and Body Works in the mall, and my eyes start watering. So, luckily, Tertius isn't me, but
Oh god.
Real quick, from a player's perspective, would now be a time to spend my only spell slot on protective stuff, or shall I wait?
like protection from disease. Are you imagining you have plans in here?
More like just kind of
Your
buffing
guys'
myself.
plan was to follow in Kehan's footsteps and see where he ended
I
up.
can't imagine that we're going to be come upon by poor choice of words. I don't think that
Pass this in the middle of the
that the workers here are going to assault us with anything but their scent and their marketing. I don't think we're going to get attacked here. Should have just said that instead of
I don't think we're gonna get come upon.
poor choice of words.
Alright, I'll wait, but just know, if I get stabbed, I'm blaming you. If we get stabbed in here.
If you get stabbed, I will stab whoever doesn't.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna watch.
Yeah, I'll watch.
I thought you'd be a watcher.
They're gonna have to get him again. They're gonna have to get him a stool or something, because otherwise the bed height's just like.
Oh, the bad angles.
She's nothing but Tertius is
Dwarves aren't that short. But
Anyway, bring it back. Enter in.
Guy, the perfume smell is somehow stronger inside than it is out.
What do you mean somehow? That like makes so much sense.
It's kind of so this is from inside. It's clearly sort of a 3-story building. It's kind of this big open central courtyard with balconies all around it. It's sort of big, plush seating area. Sort of in that courtyard, there's a bar. There's sort of tables with hookahs, and there's sort of a big counter, sort of right next to the entryway.
I can go talk to
You get all sorts of like, look at that chiseled Adonis over there. Like you walk in there and you're like, God damn, I'm being stared at from everywhere.
Man,
I forgot you just I forgot about that.
I'm looking for my friend.
My mom warned me about women like you. I'm glad she was right.
Did she say virgin?
Unfortunately, I think I'll do well to speak to the employees here. If you'd like to maybe talk to the barman.
Sure.
Okay.
Beeline.
Okay.
Right there.
It seems like all of the staff in here is man or woman in various shades of dress. Some people not wearing much at all. Some people obviously sort of trying to dress sexy. But it seems to be just like that is the scale.
This is a furry's dream in here. So you're telling us.
But there are still quite a few elves and some humans as well.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna beeline to the bard with
Okay.
I'm just gonna leave you to do
male or female, because I have no idea about our friend here. But the first, I assume he's going to keep it in the species. So the first Tabaxi employee I see, I'd like to approach.
There's one behind the bar.
Okay. Walk up and be like, I'm trying to kind of like carry. He's not that suave.
Right.
Like, he's charismatic, but he's not that suave. Trying to carry himself somewhat suavely. Kind of be like, good evening. I have a question, if you don't mind.
Of course.
Or good day, I should say. It's the middle of the day. What does my life come to?
How did I find myself here?
These walls have heard that so many times.
I'm gonna smell like this for a week.
I'm gonna have to rinse my arm. I'm gonna be like, a friend of ours came through here with some acquaintances last night. Quite likely stirred up some trouble. We're trying to find our friend and smooth over any damages he might have caused to persons or things.
Well, if it's a group I'm thinking of, they didn't really cause any damage, but they definitely got thrown out last night.
Group of 6, one brown fur, gray stripes.
Mm-hmm. You carrying a leather satchel? Does that sound like him?
Does. Absolutely.
Yes.
Was it still a group of 6 of them
Mhm.
that came through here? And did they partake in any of
Yeah,
our
they
services?
were here for a while, like I said, until they got thrown out. Several of us chased them out into the street, just trying to get them all to move along. I think most of them took off just running through the streets. I think the one you're talking about, this friend of yours, went. I think he went up onto the rooftops of the buildings across the street, and that was the last any of us saw them.
Was he doing anything up there that anyone saw?
I mean, it's a relative. I think it'd be a relatively easy climb. It's impressive he was able to do it as drunk as he was.
You say easy
Always a
climb
spry
for
one, that
Tabaxi.
friend of ours. Ask him.
Easy climb for Tabaxi. Shit.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
I'll set a gold piece down.
Okay.
It is not good for my math.
Okay.
It turns a 3 into a 2.
Okay.
Because it makes it an even number. And I'm going to be like, thank you for the information. And it'd be best if anyone else asking about this didn't hear anything about him coming through here.
She gives you what she assumes is a sly wink and pockets the gold piece.
I give her what I
And asks
assume
if she
is
can
a
interest
swab.
you in anything else. With another attempt at a sly wink.
And with another attempt at a suave wink, I'll say, bit busy at the moment, but maybe I'll come back through when I'm on my own time.
You wink one eye at a time.
What a meaningful conversation.
I have no intent of going back there. I don't know if there's anatomic compatibility. Not something he would say. He's way too dumb to say that.
Yeah.
Don't know if I could even have sex with a Tabaxi. Not willing to try at the moment. We're much too busy.
What would those kids even look like?
What do my kids look like? Half cat, half dog.
You're like,
Hyena.
no.
The cat dog. That's literally how gnolls are made.
No.
It would, yeah. People
Oh
would be
no!
Like, yeah, people would be like, that is a particularly ugly knoll. It's like, hey, that's my son.
That's what-
Oh.
Hey, that ugly gnoll is my son!
Only I can call him ugly.
So you guys are headed over
God
to
damn it.
We'll head across to the other building.
the bar? You think it's climbable? It definitely doesn't look like... This is not a sheer wall. It's like... Between, like, stacked crates and awnings and stuff like that, you're like... I could probably climb to the rooftop of this. It's also not hard to tell that most of the rooftops around here have some sort of access to them. A lot of people have sort of sitting areas or sort of awnings or stuff like that built up on top of the rooftops as well. So.
I don't think he went through, and I don't want to cause any more attention. I think I can climb this.
So I believe, if I remember my climbing rules correctly, that it's half speed, and I can ask for an athletics check
If it's a
if it's a
hard enough
particularly hard surface.
Mhm.
You're athletic enough that I'm not going to ask for a climbing check, but it is going to be fairly slow progress.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you can climb up to the rooftop.
Yeah, I'll try and climb up with him,
Okay.
following his same route.
What's your strength?
13.
Oh yeah, you can climb up there.
Okay.
You have either strength or dex is relatively high for you though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very dexterous.
Yeah, so
He's
you'll
scrawny
be-
as hell.
So you'll be able. You're not just like, I am so strong I can just pull myself up the side of this.
I'm physicking, like, just like no legs, just arms.
You can climb up it pretty quick.
Okay. No roll, like you were saying?
It's just
You're just essentially moving at half speed.
clambering up over the top.
Question. What's the hypothetical ability check roll? We just auto pass it in this case because
It's
If you're interested in finding out exactly how movement speeds work, may I recommend the help action on the Downtime Activities YouTube channel, going over all sorts of speeds and in details on how climb speed actually
We don't have
works.
time to watch the video, though.
So, the way-
answer his question.
for the sake of this, the way climbing works is anybody can climb. It's essentially at half speed.
It's difficult to
It's difficult terrain.
as long as it's not ridiculous
Mhm.
or
And the DM may, if they want, require like an athletics or acrobatics check, or like a relevant check to for a particular difficulty.
only reason I was
However,
wondering.
even if you have a climbing speed, that just means it's not difficult terrain for you. If it's still particularly hard, you have to make a check. You don't just not have to make a check. Because
And the only thing that affects is your full speed, right?
yeah, so instead of us being 35, we're technically 17 and a half.
And for some reason, they could just sort of never just say that directly. Especially when it comes to abilities like the rogue's second story work. It just gives you a climb speed, but it's not phrased that way.
Yeah.
So it's
There's times.
Hmm.
The only reason I wanted to ask was because that shadow ability is literally if I ever roll a d20 and it comes out as a 1, it impacts people around me.
So your shadow gets afraid of heights and everybody falls off the side
It
of the
could
building.
help them, it could push them, or it could pull them.
It could help them, it could push them, it could hurt them, it could push them.
You're really focusing on that a lot.
We will clamber on up there.
Okay.
Is there a passed out sunburnt cat up here?
No, that would be very funny. You can't see anybody. It seems like you could follow the string of rooftops for a while, but you can kind of follow the street either way, or you could head straight ahead.
Can I look for, if he climbed this, can I look for, like, paw prints? Or...
Yeah, it's going to be a hard check, but you can do a survival check to try and track.
I just want to look for any signs of, like, a drunk idiot running into things.
Okay,
and, like,
give me a
making a
perception
mess.
check.
I'm going to look
So,
around.
looks very
You
good.
can also give me a perception check.
That is a 25.
25?
15 on my
15?
perception.
12. So you find what he was looking for, and he sees something else. You find, like, because quite a few of these rooftops have kind of sitting areas. Some will have little kind of rooftop gardens and a lot of that kind of stuff around here. It's not all that hard to find evidence that a drunk Tabaxi came through here fairly recently. And for you, you're kind of looking around and hanging on. Like a sort of decorative. There's kind of a little like almost gazebo thing on a rooftop farther ahead. That's like that's fairly decorative, and hanging off of one of the sort of pieces of decoration on it is a leather satchel.
I see. I think we have a clue. I will walk over and open the satchel and look inside.
Okay. Inside is a large number of technical drawings of fortifications, city streets, some garrison observations and garrison estimates, guard rotations, training schedules, training regimens, all written in Elvish.
Does it specify where that is?
It's not hard to figure out. It seems to be for the city. There's also a
For
sheath
this city?
for this city.
That's
There's also
awesome.
a sheathed single-edged knife in there. A really pretty sharp, dagger that's in that bag as well.
Detailed information about the defenses of this city
Mhm.
in Elvish.
You know.
Ooh, that's not good.
I'll take the satchel.
Okay.
We're not leaving that around.
Well, let's just leave this.
Interesting. Empty it out over the edge.
The city should be free.
This should be public knowledge.
This belongs in a library, but I don't know where one is. We'll take that satchel, the dagger. I mean, we'll hopefully return it to him because this is his detailed information about the defense of his own city.
We probably stole it from someone.
Yeah.
Looking at the dagger, is it of Elvish make?
It does seem to be of Elvish make. It's a little bit more. It's kind of bridging styles a little bit. Like I said, it's single edged. It's not double edged, but it seems to be of Elvish make and not of and not like a made by local Tabaxi smith.
Straight edge, swooping edge.
More swooping. Think like a Persian fighting dagger.
Okay.
In terms of its blade.
So he's been captured. If it's and if all that was written in Elvish, it seems likely that he might have been. He might have.
I guess there is also a coin purse in that section.
How much in it?
20 gold.
We'll keep it in there for now. Once we figure out what's going on here.
If it's written in Elvish,
That's my crit for the evening.
That was a D20. We'll take it.
Yeah,
We'll take it.
If it was written in Elvish, it's most likely that he had plans to sell that to who we can most likely assume is in correspondence with the Empire.
For the most
Strange
part,
that's in Elvish.
everyone that we've met so far can speak Elvish. What was the point of it being written?
Person who wrote it primarily spoke Elvish, perhaps. I mean, it could be a spy for the Empire here, but it'd be strange for the elves. My people are under the rule of the Empire. The Earans are imperial subjects, but it's certainly not the language of choice for the Empire and their normal correspondence. They would just use their common tongue.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
for
if
the most part,
if they wouldn't use
a language.
a language that is obvious to them, in this case, like they wouldn't have this information written in common for exactly like first
Because
situation.
the majority of the people that we've met can speak Elvish.
It seems like
It's
it'd make
just-
more sense if they're trying to hide the information that it'd be written in the imperial tongue.
Well, and a lot of people. A lot of people you've met here have spoken Elvish. You would know a lot of people in the Curian Empire speak Elvish, similar to how ancient Greek was in the ancient Roman Empire. It's sort of the
They just want to
Latin
be
is Latin's for the common man.
Mhm.
It's, ancient Greek is sort of
That's
the
why all
language
my
of philosophers.
That's why all my uncles got packed onto boats and brought as fancy teachers for rich, snotty imperial kids.
It's
and
just
you
strange
would know
to me.
that not all elves are like your family, in terms of, or you in particular, in terms of like burn this shit to the ground.
What do you mean? That's not how I am
It's
outwardly
just-
all the time.
It's just strange to me that information like this wouldn't be under a language that is not as readily available to most people that would find it. It's just strange.
Does
Am
it
I
seem
wrong?
like it's new writing? Like this isn't like stolen? Is this like old stolen schematics or
It
like
seems
handmade
it
now?
seems to be handmade. They seem to be somebody's observations, notes, sketches.
Let's keep following this trail and hopefully we'll figure it out. Maybe he knew he was being followed and ditched this to make sure it didn't get in the wrong hands.
Well, anything like map, anything that shows any locations for anything.
It doesn't look like information for where he was going. Like this is information, right, on like the defenses of the city. So this isn't his current path. This would be like useful information for somebody
You
wanting
know,
to
this is the
assault
bigger
city.
question. I think this is the bigger question: is why did he have information like this?
That's true. Maybe he saw it and tried getting rid of it.
But he went and got drunk.
Maybe he found it when he was drunk.
Maybe I don't know. Something seems off about this.
The satchel showed up at some point during this transition. My thought is he ran into somebody at one of these locations that had that, noticed it, stole it, and knew he was being followed, so ditched it. And then maybe they caught up with him.
You think that's why the fight went down at the...
Yeah,
It might have been a
but they
distraction for him to take it.
Yeah, because I guess because he had to have had it by the time he got to the brothel.
I think-
we know he didn't have it at the first place. Sometime between both of those and the bar.
I think the answers we're looking for are with our Tabaxi friend, wherever he's at.
Well, unfortunately, I think this is a dead end, isn't it?
We know a path. We know where he was tearing up. We can at least follow that as far as it goes.
Continue on the rooftop then?
I think that's a decent spot to end this
A
episode.
mystery.
A mystery. A reveal. A little bit of espionage.
So what you're saying is we might get to help defend the city in a Helm's Deep style siege.
Don't get your hopes up.
Damn.
Damn.
I will turn this campaign around. Got that.
Hey,
Are we sieging yet? Are we sieging yet?
Stop that.
Stop it.
I will turn this campaign around. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching. If you like this kind of stuff, we have lots of reviews, gameplay, all sorts of stuff on the channel. Podcast stuff where X and I just sit down and discuss stories from many a campaign like this. Gameplay in Savage World, the Star Wars campaign, Metroville, which is a sort of indie superhero RPG, very near and dear to the channel's heart. So if you're interested in that, consider checking it out. It really does help us out. It just gives us an excuse to play tabletop RPGs. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next one.